You should not be the sole provider of the new volunteers. You need everybody recruiting volunteers. One thing you know, if you work in a church, if you work in a nonprofit, that is you have to have volunteers. And it doesn't matter whether you live here, wherever you're at, whatever size ministry you're at, whether you are urban or rural, you need volunteers. The big question to ask yourself on a regular basis is, where are we getting our new volunteers? Volunteers are the lifeblood of your ministry. And so if you don't have a constant flow of new volunteers, it says something about the current health of your church or organization and the direction where you are going. Now, question, where do most of your new volunteers come from? If they come from you, the leader, okay, and they only come from you, that's a problem. Now, every leader should constantly be recruiting volunteers. Every pastor, every director, you need to be recruiting volunteers. But you should not be the sole owner of that, the sole provider of the new volunteers. You need everybody recruiting volunteers. Everybody. If your church is only relying on a few of the pastors or leaders to do the recruiting, that is not sustainable, and you are not setting yourself up to grow. Tim Stevens has written a great book on volunteers, and he talks about shoulder tapping. And I teach this. I don't call it shoulder tapping, but I love that terminology. Shoulder tapping is when volunteers tap the shoulder of a friend and say, you need to be volunteering too. After all, those volunteers have relationships that you don't have, right? They have relational equity that you don't have. They have leverage that you don't have. And so I need my volunteers tapping the shoulders of their friends, tapping the shoulders of their volunteers, saying, you need to start serving. You need to start ministering. You need to start volunteering in this area. Now, if you can create a culture in your church or your ministry where there's a lot of shoulder tapping going on between one friend to the next, one volunteer to the next, and it is not all relying on the leader at the top to do all the recruiting, that is going to be a game changer for you. It's going to be a game changer. Listen, you need volunteers, and you need to constantly be adding new volunteers to your system. You need to be recruiting them correctly, onboarding them correctly, training them, retaining them, right? And you need to have a whole system in place, but it can't only rely on you. I know you're the leader, and I know as a leader we think we can do it all, but you can't do it all, and I can't do it all. So take a good look at your people. Take a good look at your ministry, at your volunteers. Ask yourself the question, are they shoulder tapping like they could be or should be? And what can I do to create a culture or an environment where everybody is shoulder tapping all the time?